Welcome to our first AI webinar for 2026. And this webinar is all about how to use AI to get amazing images. I'm Dr. Karen Sutherland, and I'm going to lead you through some of my favorite tools and workflows to get the images that you need. In this session, I want to kick off by saying, look, AI generated images have come a long way since they first started. And if you look at this image on the right here, this can still happen if you're not careful, but we've come a long way from the days of 8 fingers on one hand and really bad text up there. There's ways now, and the tools have progressed in a way, particular tools anyway, and different models you can use for those tools to stop that. When I used to get that originally, I would then put it into Canva and use, because the image editing tools in Canva are really great, and then I would fix it that way. But now, depending on the tool that you're using, you can just avoid all of that. So we've seen the weird faces and the weird texts, and you have a really clear idea of what you want, but actually getting the AI to do that can be another story. And so this session is going to show you some ways to make that happen. The good images, not these images. The things you need to remember around AI images are that it really comes down to the tools that you use and the way that you use them. And some are better than others for particular things. The prompts are super important because if you've got a really generic prompt, it's just going to give you a generic output. So it mirrors really the detail and the context that you give it. And I'll show you a hack that I've been using for a long time that sort of stops you having to sit there and work it all out yourself. You can use AI to help you to do that. Also, the context, the amount of information you give it as examples can really help the output as well. And then that sort of iteration phase where you refine. This webinar is going to lead you through all of that in the next half an hour. It'll show you some great tools and some helpful techniques that I hope you'll be able to walk away and use straight away. In the next 30 minutes, I'll show you the tools. Look, and there are so many tools, and there are more tools by the day. And then even the text tools are now, many of the originally text tools are now integrating image generation into their platforms as well. It's becoming quite common, this sort of multimodal AI platforms. But I'll show you the ones that I really love. And I would love in the chat if you want to share yours as well, your favorite tools. Then I'll show you how I use ChatGPT to build and refine my prompts. I'll show you how to improve your outputs using context as well, and then things to avoid, and also some ethical things to remember when you're working with AI images too, because we can't forget that many of the AI, I think most of the AI models have been trained on copyrighted information. So that's just something to remember as well when we're creating our own images. Different tools do different things. Firstly, one of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to use one tool for everything and getting it to do everything, and it can be frustrating when it doesn't do that. I use different tools for different things. Sometimes I'll show you today, I will put the same prompt into multiple tools and just see what we get back as well, as an example, because sometimes I get the best bits and then put it into, like, the images that I like, put it into another AI tool for context, so it can bring things together. For editing, we're not going to go too deep into editing today because I could spend a whole webinar on that. Particularly my favorite editing tools are in Canva for image editing, but we'll just touch on that today. And then charts and diagrams. Some AI tools now, which I will show you, are doing amazing things in visualizing your data and making it interactive as well. We'll show that today too, just to give you some examples. In terms of the tools, we're going to explore these 4 today. Now, these, as I said, these are my favorite tools. They don't have to be your favorite tools. So if you want to share your favorite tools in the chat, please do. These are the tools that I use the most. ChatGPT is really good for brainstorming and coming up with your prompts, but even now its image generation is really top notch. It's added that in it. You used to be able to do it with DALL-E in there and it was okay, but now they've got this whole section that you can go to, and the images are pretty good. We'll go there and have a look. Nano Banana is Google Gemini's AI tool, and it is outstanding in terms of what it can give you back. I've been using it to create these amazing infographics. I'm creating a first year strategic business communication course for students at UniSC, and I'm using it to create these really cool infographics that bring in all the core concepts around different topics we're covering, like negotiation. It does this cool sort of flow charts, and all the text is perfect, and it follows the same style as well, so it's all consistent. And then Midjourney was like the original, that was the best image generation tool. It was one of the very first ones. And I still use it sometimes. It's still very good, but the others have improved so much. We'll have a look at that. And then Claude is like just recently, Claude came out to saying that it can now do charts and diagrams and things like that. It does amazing dashboards too. So we'll experiment with that. But let's just have a look, do a little tour first of the tools. We'll go to, let's go first to ChatGPT, and I'll just share so in ChatGPT, it's the image tab is here when you go in there, and it takes you to this interface where you can give it an image. So it could be you, or of course you don't put someone's image in there without their consent, but you can give it a context image, and then you can get it to, it gives you already pre-prompted styles that you can use in there. So let's do an example of that. I'll put me in there. I give my consent. Let's do this caricature trend. And so you can see it's already pre-prompted, and now it'll do that. We'll move on to the next one because it still takes a little bit of time to generate. The next one I want to show you is Midjourney. Midjourney, this was the original. It never used to have a web interface, but it does now. And it can create, these are all other things that other people have created. It can do amazing things. It can do animations as well as still images. And in here, you give it your prompt. You can give it contextual images. So you can put it in here to make it animated, but we'll just focus on doing sort of images now. Let's give it this one. Oh, there we go. Image prompts, and we'll give it that one, and we'll give it this one. Then down here is where you can change the dimensions of it. You can make it more stylized. You can make it very weird. Let's make it weird. And then it gives you more variety. You get 3 each time, and then you can go deeper into those. And we'll just do it. I'll just give it a brief prompt just for the sake of it before we move on. Recreate making it dreamlike sequence with flowers raining from the sky. I'm just making this up as I go along, just to give you an idea. And so now it's creating. So it gives you 4 examples. We'll get that going, and then we'll move on to Google Gemini. Now, Google Gemini, in here, I do pay for this. When you want it to do images, you click create image, and it too can also, it's got these sort of styles which are already pre-prompted. Let's do this Technicolor one, and then I'll add that same photo. Now, what I've found with Google, with Nano Banana, this is the image generation tool in Gemini, is that whenever I use the fast model, it's not very good. And if I want to put text in the image, if I use the fast model, it comes out with all the gobbledygook, all the weird like text like we saw in that original image at the beginning of the presentation. I always use this Pro one or the thinking one, and it tends to come out better. We've got this, I won't even prompt it. I'll just give it, because we've said we want it to be Technicolor, and I've given it my image there. So we'll just let that create it. Let's go back to ChatGPT now. So this is what it came back with in the flower image. Clearly I'm doing like a theme of flowers right now. I don't know if I would use that anywhere. It looks like I need to put some moisturizer on or something like that. That's ChatGPT. Let's go now to Midjourney and see what it came back with there. These are interesting. Like if we look at this one, it's brought those elements in from all the 3 images and done it very differently. And what you can do once it gives you that is you can pick whether you want it to be changed very subtly or very strongly. We'll say strongly, and then it'll generate more variations of that one. We'll go back now to Google Gemini. Oh, and that's what it came back with. I don't look very happy there in that one, but you can see how it's used that reference point there. I just wanted to show you those. We'll go to Claude in a little while, but these are the main tools and what they do. So let's go back to the presentation. And what I want to do now is show you just one of my favorite ways of generating images, because I don't know about you, I'm a very visual person, and often I will have an image in my mind of what I'd like to create. And so rather than me write out the entire prompt, I'll go to ChatGPT to help me to brainstorm it and articulate it better, and then write out the prompt for me. And that way, because the AI tends to be able to prompt the AI better, and it will bring in all of the different things that it needs as well. And so when I see what it gives me, if I don't like it, then sometimes I will give the image back to the AI that helped me to prompt, and then I get it to rework the prompt with the changes that I want, and then I put that back in. Now, some people do it with, if you're in Google Gemini, some people will use Google Gemini to prompt Nano Banana, and that's fine. What I tend to do is I tend to use ChatGPT to write the prompts and then put it into Nano Banana, because I've tried Claude and I've tried others, and I tend to get the best results that way. But I'm sure you have your own experiments in that sort of degree, because when you're prompting, you've got to include a lot of different things. And I tend to get the ideas in my brain, but the AI helps me to bring it out and unpack it so much better. It includes all of these things in the prompt without me sitting there having to write all these things down myself. And it can even be as detailed with its specifications in terms of the lighting and the aspect ratio and all these different things that I'm not a photographer. I don't know the technical jargon that I need to get the right look. And so the AI can help me to achieve that. Why don't we do a little activity now? Give me a topic that we can create an image with. So just give me some sort of topic that you would like me to, then I'll work with the AI to come up with a prompt that we can test out in the different tools. Anything, any topic, and I'll put it in. Personal, we need to do a scene, like an actual scene. Okay. Yeah, we need to create an image. We need like a specific scene. What could it be? Could it be like at the beach or the ocean? Okay. All right. Let's have a look. Let's go into ChatGPT. And so what I'm going to do is, I just dictate verbally. I press this and it will help me to prompt without having to write it all down. I want to create an image that is a beautiful image of the ocean. Can you help me to come up with the right prompt that I can put into a tool like Nano Banana to make a really striking ocean image? And so I pop that in, and it gives me some options, because it gives you then, if you're like, oh, what can I actually do? It's going to give you all of these different options. Let's stop and say, okay, let's make it then a sunset image of the ocean on a tropical island. And can you ask me any other questions that will help me to shape this prompt? Okay, so now, then it helps to guide you. Okay, so what I'll do is I want it photo real. I want it to be romantic and dreamy. I want it to be looking out from shallow water with a few palm trees. I want it to be golden orange sunset. The water will be glassy but a little bit rippling. I want there to be some rock pools, and I want it to be horizontal. Okay, so I'll give it that, and then it will come up with the prompt. It's given me the prompt here. It's given me different parts of it. Please just put the entire prompt together so I can copy and paste it into the AI tool. Okay, so now it's just created all of it. I'll copy it. Let's put it into the different tools. We'll put this one into Nano Banana, and you can see it's just come up with all of that there for me. So I'll pop that in there. We'll pop it into Midjourney, and we'll pop it into ChatGPT. And I often use the thinking model for that as well. All right, so let's have a look. That's what it's come up with as the first option. Midjourney. These are the different ones for Midjourney. I really like that one. Oop, that one there's really nice. And then we've got this one for ChatGPT. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to it, I'm going to put myself in the image now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a photo of myself as a contextual piece, and I want to put myself into this image. Can you please now rewrite the prompt so that I can put myself in it? Okay, so we'll just use this one. Copy that one. I will now add in my image, pop it in there. We'll do the same. And where are we? We'll see if it'll work with Midjourney. No, we don't want it. We want it here. All right, so let's see. Oh, there we go. There's me on the beach there. Then we've got, that's nice. That doesn't look very much like me, but there we go. And then Midjourney didn't put me in at all. Very interesting. You can see there, like this sort of helps you unpack it when you've got an idea in your head, and then you can go back and forth. And it's like getting the AI to ask you questions to clarify what you want, and then it can just generate the prompt for you without you having to do it. When you first play with this sort of workflow, it takes a little bit of time to get used to it, but after a while, it's quite natural and goes back and forth. I use it a lot now. Like I made this image before just testing. Let me see if I can find it here. I asked for it to create like a disco image scene, and I used it across the different ones. This isn't me in it or anything, but and they were quite interesting, the different ones that they came up with. So that was the one that I did for Nano Banana. And then Midjourney was very interesting. It was a bit weird with that one. And then I did it. Oh, sorry, my screen stopped sharing. I think it was in ChatGPT in here. And so that was what ChatGPT came up with, which was interesting too. But we'll move on. Often when you're not getting what you want out of it, and this is through personal experience as well, it's when the prompts are not clear enough, or you've got instructions that are conflicting. You might say dark and light and things like that, or you're not using the right tool. The reference image is really helpful to add in. And sometimes even adding who the audience is for and that sort of thing too really helps. I've found too, like I did something for a business recently where I tried to create a group shot with all of our team because we've got separate images. I tried to put us in, And the first one, it was okay, but I found when I started to make changes to it, each sort of iteration made us look weirder and weirder. So we couldn't actually use it in the end. But I find, yeah, when you've got people in the images that are actual people, real people, then you're working with their photos, like it can start to look a bit artificial because I guess it is. The more context you can give it, the better it is. If you've got a brand guide or you've an example image, as I said, if I wanted to change certain things, I would upload the image that generated and then rework, get another prompt to then put in to get a better version of that. And just giving it a really clear instruction is the most important thing. But the more examples you can give it, the better. However, you've got to be really careful that the images that you're giving it for context are not, the copyright isn't owned by someone else, because that's a real issue. And the AI, clearly the model's already been trained on copyrighted images, but you don't want to add to that as well. I tend to upload if it's my own image, or if it's, I get it to create a type of image that I'm looking for, and then I'll use that rather than use someone else's image or photo. It was like when I think it was when Dali had a new model, and people were, I forget the animator's name, but people were getting themselves a caricature of themselves in that animator style, and that was a huge breach of copyright as well. It depends what you're comfortable with doing, but just be aware of that as well. It's good to just to use ethical practices. But yeah, and I've mentioned that as well, just giving it, and it's like with anything, even with written, when you're using AI with written work as well, like giving it some sort of example just helps the output so much. And I've talked through this part as well. What I really want to show you now is Claude. And so I don't know if you're doing anything in terms of like data visualization or using data in any way. It can really make things look amazing. I'm going to do some examples now. I'm just going to shut down Gemini and all the others, just because sometimes things do freeze when I've got too many AI tools open at once. But let's dive in. It can now do diagrams and visuals, and it can do things like dashboards with data. So what I'm going to do is, sorry, these are quite small, but the first demo I'm going to do is just put in this one, which is show me a visual breakdown of how Australians spend their average work day. And it will go off and find the data. So there's the prompt, but it's good to check against like the Australian Bureau of Statistics and things like that as well. Here we go. So it's already based on that. It's still doing it. It takes a little bit to come up with, but it's really impressive like what it can do now in terms of making graphs look really nice. When I was writing my AI book, AI for Strategic Communication, I was using it for graphs, and I wish it did this, because look at this now. And not only does it, like, you can click on it and these things pop up. It's got the things down the bottom. So it's gone off and found this. You would cross check, of course, through Australian Bureau of Statistics reports, but you can see how amazing that is. And then you can also share it as well. You can share a link. So that was the first one. The next one is I'm going to give it some data. So it says, here's our quarterly website and social media performance data. Visualize this so I can see the trends at a glance. And so let me just copy that prompt in. And so I've copied that in, and that's all here. And so now let's just see what it does. It's got all the website visits and the leads and all those sorts of things. And it doesn't take too long. If you're doing this manually, it will take forever. So it's building a dashboard with all of these analytics in it. So it just takes a few moments to do it, but it's really impressive. And I noticed that in the chat, some of you were talking about things like changing the background and things like that. This is something that we can do in Canva. And so I might do another, like maybe AI image editing workshop or webinar just on that topic, and we can go through Canva. So this is it. So it's got it here. So revenue, leads, website visits, audience growth, and then it's done an analysis as well. So you can click on there and see. That's really nice. I'll do one. Oh, there's two more. I'm going to do them because it's pretty impressive. So this third one is ask for an interactive tool. So it's got build me an interactive ROI calendar. Build me an interactive ROI calendar for digital marketing campaigns. I want to adjust the monthly ad spend with a slider and see projected leads, conversions, and revenue update in real time. And I saw someone ask, can you ask Claude to refine the graphic? Lee, do you mean get it to edit an image, or do you mean refine the graph that we developed? You go change the colors or simplify so there's fewer pieces in the pie. Let's have a look. Okay, let's look at this one. So you can see here now, so it's got this ROI thing and it changes down here as well. If we change the monthly ad spend, the cost per lead, and then it shows the profit. So I don't know, I find that pretty impressive. And then it's got the 12 months. No, I think that's really good. So let's do one more and then we'll see what we can do with interact with the results. We've done that. Let's go back to so I'll just say please. So which one shall we do? In the audience growth, just a simple request. Please change the colors in the audience growth chart. I haven't been very specific, but we'll see what it comes back with. So I switched to teal, coral, and purple. So let's see, what was it? Yeah, so it's changed it. So I think it would probably do it pretty easily if you gave it instructions to change different parts of the graph. I think it would actually be pretty good. All right, that is Claude. You can see, and that's just simple prompts now to create graphs in pretty much seconds, which is really exciting. So I'll wrap up now, but let me know if you have any questions. But the key takeaways are finding the right tool for the job. So I'd say Claude for graphs now, 100%. I like ChatGPT to create the prompts, but then I normally use Nano Banana now through Google Gemini, and then refine where I can by refining the prompt and giving it the image that I want to change and telling it what I want it to change in it. And before we wrap up and do questions, just another couple of things. That the next free webinar is 27th of April, and it will be AI for brand voice and authentic copywriting. And I'll add one in there this year using Canva for those photo image editing, because I think that will be the next stage of what we've done today. And then if you're a leader or a manager in your organization and you're not sure how to really approach the whole strategic integration of AI into your team's workflows and things like that, I've got a course starting in May 11, and it's now certified by the AI Center for Excellence. Let me know if you're keen on that and I'll send you a link. But does anyone have any questions, or do you want to share your favorite tools, your favorite image tools? Is Nano Banana free? I think parts of it are like a lot of the tools now. They give you like a free version of it, but you don't get the full one. So I pay for Google Gemini, and I find it really useful. But it just depends. So you probably get maybe 5 goes a day or something on it, and then so you just be limited, but you should still have access to it. Are there any other questions? And I saw there was a comment early on too that said, I feel as though I can waste a lot of time on these tools. Yes, I'm looking for a tool that I can use that's time efficient. Does that exist? Yeah, the key is knowing what you want. So that's why I use AI to help me to prompt, because I find, even though that looked quite slow today, when I've got an idea in my mind, it helps me articulate it better and write the prompts better to get what I want faster, if that makes sense, rather than going back and forth all the time. So yes. Oh, Cindy says, I use Nano Banana free. It will give me one shot at an image. It won't allow iterations. Presentation slide decks, which tool? I love Gamma. That's my favorite. But now Claude does great slides too, but I use Gamma a lot. I'm more interested in changing backgrounds without changing how I look. So Denise, in Canva, there's a background image change tool in Canva. So that can take you out of the background and you can then put in another background as well. Lee said, my work is communicating research findings for farmers. The content is quite technical. Does any tool come to mind as a good place to start? Yeah, look, I think that using most tools help you to translate it to a particular audience. So that I would first translate the data to a particular audience and then get it to visualize it. So even if you were using something like Claude to do that, you would tell it in the prompt that this is the audience, it needs to be simplified, and then it takes that in mind when it's actually doing it, and then iterate that way. So yeah, that's what I would do. But I think Claude's very good at communicating that, and Nano Banana is really great at generating infographics as well. If you wanted to do it in more of a visual type, I would pick those two above any. Yeah. So that's good. Any other questions before we wrap up? And we'll send you, because you've registered, you'll get the recording of this as well. Excellent. Thank you for coming along. I hope you found something that was new and different, or any sort of hack, or even just a confirmation that what you're doing is already helpful. And yeah, and hopefully I will see you next month for our next webinar. Yeah, oh, absolutely. You can definitely send it to workmates. And what we do too is I edit out the slow points in this, and then we put it up on YouTube as well. Oh, I think there's another slide I haven't done. So that's what I forgot. There's also this. So on Facebook, I've got this group called let me reshare. I've got this group called the AI for Strategic Communication Community, which is a mouthful. It's absolutely free. And then I put the YouTube version of this up in here as well. And there's lots of like resources that I share in there for free as well. So thank you. Thanks a lot for coming. And yeah, and I hope you will go off and create lots of amazing images. Thank you.